Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. We're diving into the world of Bitcoin today, especially since you've all been sending in some really thought-provoking articles our way.
It's definitely a hot topic right now.
It really is. You've been curious about its potential impact here in the US, and you know what? You're not alone, so let's break it all down.
Yeah, let's do it.
The crypto world, I have to say, moves so fast, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. So let's start with where Bitcoin stands right now. It's been kind of bouncing around this key price level, almost like it's trying to catch a wave but not quite getting there.
Yeah, traders are glued to their screens, seeing if it can break through. That 200-day simple moving average, it's a big deal.
Why is that such a closely watched thing?
Well, it's kind of like a pulse on the market sentiment. You've got your short-term and long-term outlooks. When Bitcoin dances around that line, it's like everyone's holding their breath to see which way it'll jump.
So what's influencing those moves? Is it just like random?
Not at all,
No.
actually. It's like this fascinating tug of war between your everyday investors, just getting into the game, and these big institutional players with deep pockets.
Makes sense. So it's not just the Bitcoin show anymore, huh? We've got all these other cryptocurrencies popping up,
Right, the altcoins.
like Bitcoin's younger siblings, right?
Exactly. Some are just finding their feet, but then you've got players like Hex making headlines with some serious gains. They're showing that the crypto market's about way more than just Bitcoin now. Hex shot up like 13% recently.
Wow. Speaking of exciting developments, you've also mentioned being a little, I don't want to say scared, but cautious about the regulatory side of things,
Yeah, and rightfully so.
especially with the SEC, particularly under Gary Gensler.
He's got his eye on ICOs in particular.
Now, for those who don't speak crypto jargon, what's an ICO?
So an ICO, initial coin offering, it's basically a way for these new crypto projects to get funding, like crowdfunding, but for cryptocurrency.
So like Kickstarter, but for crypto.
You got it.
Yeah.
But the SEC, they're worried some of these ICOs might be acting like unregistered securities. That's risky business for investors. So that's where that whole tension comes in, protecting investors versus letting innovation flourish.
Right, because you don't want to stifle creativity, but you also don't want people getting taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
It's a tough balance, and it's something the U.S. is wrestling with right now.
It's interesting, though, right? Because while we're figuring out this whole regulatory tightrope here in the U.S., other countries are taking a very different approach.
Oh, absolutely. They're looking at the potential of digital currency to really shake things up.
They see the future, and they want to be the ones writing the rule book.
Exactly. And that's where these CBDCs come into play.
Right, CBDCs, you mentioned being curious about those, and I get it. They sound like something out of a sci-fi movie.
A little bit, yeah. Central Bank Digital Currency.
Yeah.
It's essentially like a digital version of the cash in your wallet, but issued and controlled by, you guessed it, the central bank.
So instead of carrying dollars, we'd have like digital dollars.
Pretty much, yeah. But think about the implications. What if every time you spent that digital dollar, the government could see exactly where it went?
Okay, now that's where things get a little, privacy concerns start ringing some alarm bells.
Exactly. And that's the big debate with CBDCs, right? That potential for, let's say, increased surveillance.
Because right now, if I want to buy a cup of coffee with cash, that's my business. But with a CBDC,
That cup of coffee could be part of a giant database somewhere.
wow, that's kind of a mind bender. And what about those who argue this is actually a good thing?
Well, some people say, hey, this could actually make transactions smoother, faster, cheaper. They say it could even help people who don't have bank accounts get connected to the financial system.
So it's all about access and efficiency, they argue.
Right. But like with everything, there's always another side to that coin. We touched on privacy, but it's a biggie. Think about it. With CBDCs, every single purchase you make online, every bill you pay, it could all be tracked.
It's like giving someone a detailed receipt of your entire life, financial life at least. Yeah, it's a bit unnerving when you really think about it. And it's not just about, like, tracking spending habits, right? Some people are worried CBDCs could be used to, I don't know, influence how people act.
Oh, absolutely. Like imagine a world where your access to financial services is linked to your, say, social credit score or even your political views.
Whoa, okay, that's a whole other level.
It is. It's a whole other level of control that we really need to consider. And this is where your point about Bitcoin offering this vision of, like, financial freedom comes in. Remember that sound money concept you highlighted?
Yeah, it was interesting. It seemed like for a lot of Bitcoin proponents, that's one of the big appeals.
Totally. They argue that because Bitcoin has a fixed supply, only 21 million coins ever, right?
Mhm.
That makes it a hedge against inflation, kind of like digital gold.
So it's a way to protect your wealth, at least in theory, from the ups and downs of government-controlled currencies.
Exactly. You've got these two different ideologies clashing. Bitcoin saying, hey, we're decentralized power to the people, and then CBDCs representing this more centralized control.
So where does that leave the U.S. in all of this? We've always been seen as a leader in innovation, but we also have, a lot of regulations.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's almost like we're trying to squeeze this square peg of cryptocurrency into this round hole of traditional financial rules.
And while we're trying to figure that out, other countries are like, game on. We talked about the BRICS nations, right? Looking at alternatives to the U.S. dollar.
And it goes beyond that. All over the world, governments are realizing that this blockchain technology, the tech behind Bitcoin, it's a game changer.
Mhm.
More secure elections, better supply chains, new ways to verify who you are. The possibilities are huge.
So it's not even just about the money anymore. It's about the potential.
Exactly.
It feels like we're at this tipping point, this moment where things could go in a lot of different directions.
It really does.
And I think what's important for everyone listening, whether you're, a crypto expert or just trying to wrap your head around it all, is that this stuff matters. This is about the future.
It is. It's about how we interact with technology, with each other. It's about the future of money.
We started by talking about Bitcoin's price. But this goes way beyond investment strategies. It's about, the kind of world we want to live in. Do we want our financial lives to be completely transparent, maybe even controlled? Or do we want more autonomy, privacy, but with that maybe more responsibility?
The questions.
Huge questions. And I don't think there are any easy answers. But just by having these conversations, by being curious and asking these questions, we're already a step ahead.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
Exactly. So I want to leave everyone with something to think about. Just imagine a world where Bitcoin or something like it actually becomes the dominant form of money. No more central banks, no more currencies controlled by governments, just this decentralized network that no one entity controls. What would that world look like? Would it be amazing? Would it be chaotic? What would be the benefits? What would be the risks?
It's really a fascinating thought experiment.
It really is, because who knows, maybe we're on the verge of something truly revolutionary. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been awesome exploring this with you all.